You are tuned into Kids.
In the pit.
All right, hey guys, it's Gabe from the Kids in the Pit podcast. Today I'm being joined by Barry Donegan. Is that how you say it? Donegan?
That's correct. That's correct.
All right,
The
from Look
Irish
What I
name.
Did. Uh, Thanks so much for joining me.
Hey, good to be with you. Good, cool times on this nice. It's drippy Sunday here. It's dark and drippy here in Nashville.
Wait, where's he?
Nashville. Here
Nashville,
too.
okay.
Yeah.
Where y'all at? You're at home or are you on the road?
We're at home right now. If we have the banner, we're at home. If we're like in a venue, we wouldn't have.
Then it's
Yeah,
the road.
yeah,
So we got the home field advantage right now.
yeah. We've done them in person a couple times at shows, and that's when we don't have the banner. So
Good times, good times. You're fixing to head out pretty soon, right?
wait,
You're doing a tour like in a couple
Oh,
months.
for tour.
Spring break.
Yes, we got a spring break tour. It's 9 days. It's not fully booked, but it's close. So we have I think we have Mississippi, Louisiana, and Alabama, a couple other shows, but it's gonna be 9 shows. Maybe it's gonna be like Virginia, North Carolina, first show, something like that. And then we're gonna try to end in like St. Louis, St. Louis, or like Illinois, somewhere like
That's
that.
Kansas City.
Oh, Kansas City. Okay.
Sorry.
That's cool. That's cool. Gotta love getting out on the road and touring. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's awesome. We love it. All right, what do you do in Look What I Did?
I'm the vocalist. I create the shenanigans. I write the lyrics most of the time, 99% of the time. And, that's been kind of my role. The band is very complicated and complex. So I kind of consider myself like the liaison between the human crowd and the instrument players, you know what I'm saying? Since they speak their own sort of language, if that makes sense.
Yeah. What genre would you consider Look What I Did?
That one's tricky. Like I believe we come from a punk and hardcore kind of spirit in terms of like playing hard and playing weird stuff. We've always tried to combine things that don't go together. So early in our early music was kind of like, it was like maybe a little post grunge, post hardcore, kind of had a little, 70s punk kind of flavor to it. And then we kind of veered into like maybe a mathcore type direction for a while and, started combining a lot of odd genres, like having a black metal with pop punk or having, just like we like to create offensive combinations, like things that, there's like certain scenes that are going to be mad if you're going to combine this with that with this, especially the real tight subgenres within punk, hardcore, and metal. And we like kind of playing games with all those different subgenres and combining them different ways. And so now I've come down to our genre is like, you have like post rock, post hardcore, post punk, those kind of things. Ours is like post everything because we'll use anything to get our song across. But, we're kind of done with the whole concept of genres. I feel like a lot of times they become a limitation. And in many ways, like punk and hardcore, whatever it is held back. Rock is held back by genres because people are trying to just sort of like be really similar to something else that already exists that we don't really need. So I've always tried to just push things somewhere else other than where the trends are going as my main first principle, if that makes sense.
Yeah. My band is like crossover thrash, so we kind of combine genres in our new album that we wrote everything for. It's all done except for lyrics. We combined a lot of we have a prog instrumental song. We have some I don't know, more just, we have some breakdowns. We have traditional thrash, we have traditional punk parts, some just hardcore parts. We have some.
It's cool when you can switch, you can combine things from different, like back in the day, any combination of prog and punk was like automatically a crime, right? In some
Yeah.
ways, there were reactions to each other as movements. It's kind of like grunge and like 80s metal. Like if you combine those two things, which you could argue butt rock is, I guess, that. But like, if you combine things that are reactions right next to each other like that, people tend to get mad. But I think prog and punk, I mean, they had a band called The Wire back in the 80s that was kind of like sort of down that line. But prog and punk can be a really cool combo, especially if punk has gotten too oversimplified and you want to add, more complexity to it. But yeah, it's really cool to cross over. I think the younger generations, like when we were like really heavily touring full time and stuff, was like 2000, 6 to 2012 kind of. And in that era, the millennials were just not feeling combining stuff. But I feel like the younger kids now, y'all have heard more different stuff and you're more interested in hearing everything combined different ways just because you get bored hearing the same thing over and over again. You know what I mean? It kind of makes sense that it would progress that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we stay inside like the same like general genre. Like we stay like kind of heavy. Like we make sure to have it has to be sort of heavy, but like we try to change it up whenever we can.
Yeah, just like within a cohesive general set of
Yeah.
principles.
Not too far out, but we try to mix it up a little bit. Add
If
some
it's really different from song to song, which my band does, it's hard to get a fan base going because people like there's an aesthetic they like, and you add a new aesthetic they don't like, and now they're like, they aren't feeling that. But like for me, it's more about the experimentation, about your responsibility to art, to move it forward, to do. Not everyone's job is to move it forward. Some people's job is just to make something fun that people can listen to or whatever. But I feel like for us, it was our job. It is our job to move things forward. So we've kind of always been about, especially in the era we have now, where things were just drilling down and they're getting more specific in these subgenres, and it was starting to be like, you're not real metal if you don't do this, or you're not real hardcore if you don't do this, and you're not real whatever. And all these like what's real metal, what's real hardcore is basically just made up off the top of everybody's head anyway. So it's kind of like if it all has to be something similar to some set of principles to exist, then everything's going to sound the same, which did start happening. You know what I mean? And now I think it's kind of breaking out. People are they're more willing to throw a little different spice together and see what they can come up with. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. It's great. Like it's a great way to write stuff because it won't sound the exact same as other bands.
Right, right. Because I mean, at a certain point, like we don't need 800 bands that sound the same as each other. You know what I mean?
No,
Like
we don't.
it's not necessary.
Yeah. Um, so what year did Look What I Did start, and were you always in the band?
Yeah, I've been in the band the whole time. It formed in 2001, kind of like right before 9/11, I would say, and been around for now 24 years, closing in on that 25th year. Yeah, so I've been in it the whole time, and we've been around a long time at this point. A lot of things have changed since we started. I mean, we booked our first tour off Book Your Own Fucking Life from Maximum Rock and Roll. You know what I mean? Where you had to call people on the phone, and you had to, use, like a literal map to drive to the venue. You know what I mean? Like pick up an actual
Yeah.
physical map,
We
and
don't have to do
you know what
that
I mean?
anymore. We have
It's a
to,
whole different ball game.
yeah, and it's so easy. It's so much easier to get shows now because there's like Instagram and then there's like websites that have a list of promoters in each like state or country or city that you can like message. It's so much easier now. Like,
It's easy now. Now, the one tricky part though is the money, because like when we first started touring, gas was 80 cents. You know what I mean? Like it actually made money to tour. If you were 10 people a night, if you sold some merch and you got any money off the door, you were pretty much making money back then. So you could, and people bought CDs. They bought the whole CD for like $10. Boom, you paid $1 for that, and you got $9 off of it. And they'd buy a large amount of those. And that was nice when you could actually sell a large product that didn't cost you much to make. That was music to them. That was a nice bit of money, and the fact that gas was super cheap. You know what I mean? It was really nice in those days. But for that, now the downside is it was hard to get your name out there before social media outside of your hometown. It was almost totally impossible. You know what I mean? But there was a sweet spot where you had social media, and it was not very long because then people started uh, stealing the music on LimeWire, and then it was kind of like you couldn't sell the CDs anymore, and that kind of collapsed a certain aspect of it. But now you have the ability to get your name out there real easily. You can go viral on TikTok just with a little dumb meme or something, and then instantly have like a fan base on the road. You know what I mean? Like that part's pretty crazy. Like you're
Yeah, it's
set up at the time you're trying this, at the age you're trying it, you're going to be really set up because you're going to be so experienced and so much further down the rabbit hole by the time, you know what I mean, you get to now. Like by me, I had my first big record deal and had a draw in LA. I was 23 by that point, right? So I mean, but even then you're chewing up a lot of your prime to get to that point, and then you got to go on tour forever, at which point, you got to learn your lessons there. So the earlier you can learn all your lessons, the better off you're going to be. I've already seen y'all's stage performance is real solid. You can play along with anybody. You've been on a lot of stages already. You can play along with anybody already. Stage performance is a big part of it. You know what I mean? Like being engaging on stage and confident, just being sure of yourself. But yeah, it's
yeah,
that kind of situation.
yeah, yeah. I try to like. I think if I would rather see like a band with bad music with really good stage presence than a band with good music and really bad stage presence just standing there. Because like stage presence, it's like it immerses you into the show and it just like it makes the show so much more like explosive and just a lot cooler, a lot more entertaining to watch, energetic.
The emotion that you can get from, I mean, that's one of the ways. Selling the emotion is one of the styles of performance you can do, and there's a lot of different styles. But to me, yeah, it's like if you're just going to play a accurate studio recording of the song, then I could just listen to the recording of the song. You know what I mean? If I'm going to see it
Yeah.
played live, I want to see somebody try and, maybe ad lib a little. Maybe there's, something that kind of makes it feel more like I'm just seeing a band kill it rather than a reproduction of just, and then having the emotions connected to it. But a lot of times people didn't write the song that they're performing, and that'll expose it on the performance. You know what I mean? If they don't feel the feelings in their chest when they're singing it, you can kind of tell. So, you know what I mean? Like, I do think that's really important to be explosive. Myself, I like to have an athletic stage performance that's crazy and unpredictable and, spans all the different styles of dance or movement that you could do to express yourself in the context of what makes sense with me, you know what I mean? And the band I'm in and the weird styles of music we're in at the time. But it is a lot of fun to like connect with an audience. And it's funny, as you tour, you'll notice different cities are different than each other, especially like hardcore scenes. My band was like, we're either considered a punk or a hardcore band based on where we are and who you're asking. And because we're provocative and we often are offensive. And so people take us either like us or don't. And like, so there's whole certain scenes, like in the SLC scene, we were totally cool with all the hardcore bands and stuff. LA scene, we were cool with the hardcore bands, and like Virginia and stuff, somebody might slash our fucking tires or something. You know what I mean? Pardon my language. Somebody might slash our tires and stuff. So it's like, we had different, like the Northeast, it was really tenuous. Some scenes didn't really feel us up there. Now we are Southern, so that might affect people's opinion of us in some ways, but you know what I mean? Being Southern in that scene is, in the Northeast can be kind of hit or miss day to day, but it's just interesting. You'll see the different crowds, they'll have different personalities, and it kind of goes with the regional personalities too, in some ways, you know what I mean?
Yeah. All right, how did you come up with your band name?
It was actually a friend of ours, 2-year-old daughter at the time. She asked her what we should name our band, and then she was drawing something, and she was like, "Look what I did, mommy!" And then she was like, "Oh, that's a nice picture." And then she's like, "No, for their band name." And then at the time, I was moving away from the genres. I wanted to become above beyond genres, so I just thought, "Look what I did" sounded like nothing. It sounded like no. You couldn't tell what kind of band that is. You know what I mean? It seemed like it was an in-your-face band, but not necessarily anything other than that. So I kind of went with it based on that. And now what's funny now is she is now like 20 something. You know what I mean? So at a certain point, full circle, she's like in a bar watching us play, but she was 2 years old when she named her band. You know what I mean? The world's deep like
Wow,
that. People
that's
grow
crazy.
older and stuff. You know what I mean? Like it's for real. But life is for real like that. But kind of like I went to shows with your mom. You didn't even exist in them days, but you know what
Yeah,
I mean? Back in the day.
yeah, that's crazy. Um, all right. What is some advice you have for vocalists for playing live?
I would say practice stage performance alone, um, and do things to build your vibe, right? Like one thing I do is my band we rehearse in a storage unit, and I rehearse in the hallway. The band rehearses in the unit. I rehearse in the hallway, and I do full stage presence. I'm doing jump kicks out there in the hallway, so everyone who's coming to their rooms is seeing me sing and dance in the hallway. You know how awkward that is? Like, if I see somebody coming in, I make eye contact and I'm like giving it to them. You know what I'm saying? And I work on my singing in the car all the time. And if I'm singing in the car, my rule is it's if I sing, I'm singing, dude. It's full stage presence. I don't give a fuck. If I'm in the car, I'm singing hard. If everyone's next to me, I got my windows down and it's at heavy traffic, it's just too bad. They're gonna have to just if they look at me, I'm giving it to them. You know what I'm saying? I'm not like being ashamed I got caught singing or any of that. I'm like, because part of that is I need to be like that on stage all the time. I don't want to ever have anyone I don't want to have any self doubt in my eyes or in my heart anywhere. So I just like make sure that whenever I'm singing, I'm always uncomfortable and awkward. And like, you know what I mean? I mean, like an uncomfortable, awkward situation always when I'm singing to practice. That way, when I'm in a show, because you know what? You know, when you come and you play a show and it's like a brightly lit room at a casino and there's like 13 old people and then like 20 people in this one part, it's just awkward room and you just feel so awkward playing. Like I want to be awesome when it's like that, when it's that awkward. I want to be just awesome where you just cannot get me out of my zone. And so I think like stuff like that, where you actually practice being in a bad zone and maintaining your vibe off on stage everywhere. You know what I mean? Like be that kind of person. They can wake you up 2 in the morning and they can be like, oh, we got an angry crowd out there. Can you get them going? You know what I mean? And you just woke up in the middle of the night, but you're just never awkward because you practice it that way, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Um, my band World of Chaos played a VFW on Friday, so 2 days ago, and there were a bunch of like old vets and just other old people there. And my friend who was at the show said he saw like some the old people at the table next to him take their hearing aids out so they didn't have to hear us, which I'm very proud of. So wait, did it mean they didn't want to hear us, or was it too loud and they just wanted to hear it less?
They might have just wanted to get the volume down a little, you know.
Yeah. But I kind of like saying that like the old people wanted to like mute us. I kind of like that more.
Thing is, old people didn't like that kind of music at one point, but now old people might be in one of those bands. It's kind of like a different time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the definition of old has got to get different.
Well, they
When
were
like a lot of the punk and hardcore music is created by like people that are in their 70s now. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, they weren't like I mean, they're like 70s, so if they were into
they might have
hardcore,
been in
they
their
would
90s.
yeah. But
90s would be a little much.
damn. Yeah, I don't think we've ever played to any 90-year-olds. I wonder who the oldest one. I'd say probably 80, right?
Maybe.
Something like that.
Bolton
Yeah.
didn't like you guys.
Yeah. If we play like open mics locally sometimes, there's like old people there and like they're like old like metal dudes. They like Ozzy and probably Metallica, just like
Yeah,
big.
you can win those guys over.
Yeah, they love watching
They'll
us.
they'll go for it. They'll
So
be
we're not too
cool. You know.
heavy. We're I feel like we're not like too heavy for them, like, but we're heavy enough that some of like if they don't, they have to already kind of like metal to like us. I feel like.
Right, right. That's one thing with hard music. That's one problem my band has. We do a lot of mixing of very, very heavy with very, very not. And a lot of times you do the one, like we had a tour we did with it was like Drop Dead Gorgeous, right? Human Abstract and Folly. And we're like in Pennsylvania somewhere. And my band had like one breakdown our whole set. The rest of the stuff was like teasing things and not giving it to him and stuff like that. I mean, it's meant to antagonize to a certain point, but like this one kid is just like, um, uh, when are you guys gonna play a breakdown? You know, just yells us out. At this point, I'm in my 30s and I've been touring nonstop. I don't have a house. I don't live anywhere for years. You know what I mean? I just like at this point, I'm just a grumpy old man about it. I'm just like, if you need a break down to mosh, you're a pussy. You know what I mean? Everybody starts laughing, whatever, blah, blah, blah. It's like kind of the you kind of with heavy music, there's a satisfaction people want with some of those rhythms. That's what they're in the room for. If you don't give them exactly the one they want, they can get mad. And if you add too much singing, they'll think, oh, this is emo or something. You know what I mean? Like if they're, especially if they're new to heavy music and they don't understand that singing is a huge part of it, always has been. In fact, it was mainly singing until somebody came out with something else. In fact, it was really hardcore that kind of added the scream to metal. But if we're being technical about it all, but yeah, it's kind of like when you combine. You got to be careful with your level of heavy and your audience because they're all particular about it for sure.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of like kids in local scenes kind of just like want to mosh. Like I don't know. I feel like it's just like they just like moshing way more than like traditional.
Listening to the bands and you know what I mean? That
Yeah.
part is where it kind of gets to me. I mean, there's certain bands that are built for that. It's like you make music that's for that, that's cool. But like if that's the only thing that anyone can do or the crowd gets mad, you know what I mean? There's been some times. I don't think it's that bad now. I think there's an early 2000s era where that was just it was like if you weren't exactly the same as everybody else, it was you can almost get jumped. You know what I mean? At shows, they're weirdly violent over taste, over matters of taste at one point. Not so much now. I think people are more cooperative now, more like into trying new things and seeing what's possible.
Yeah. And so like there's like a bunch of local bands, not a bunch, but like the younger bands that are like kind of our age, almost all of them are kind of like beat down hardcore, which I just feel like there's so much of it because they just like mosh part, mosh part, mosh part.
It's easy to play, and the crowd likes it, so
Yeah.
you can see why people would play it a lot. You know what I mean? It's a crowd pleasing, rhythmic kind of. It's kind of like Pantera without all the hard to do stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. The
Basically, that's
Pantera
what most
without,
beat down hardcore turned into. Kind of like Throwdown, where it's kind of like Pantera minus the difficult, things you have to spend a few more
yeah,
years to learn how to do on instruments. But
yeah,
I
the
mean, that
technical
stuff's
stuff.
fun though. Don't get me wrong, it's fun.
Yeah. I mean, it's fun.
But
It's just like there's so much of it, in my
how
opinion.
many bands do we need doing that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's just a lot, but yeah, I mean, it's some bands are really good at it. I just feel like there's just a lot of it. Like diversify the genres a little bit. That's what I would say.
Yeah, yeah. Spread it around. Try some more
Yeah.
things.
They're like there's barely any thrash bands like local thrash bands just doing it. Like I don't know why crossover is just not really many people doing it, and it's like let's have some traditional fast hardcore and stuff. Like I don't know. I think we just need to bands just need to do different things than just beat down, in my opinion.
It is strange how little thrash exists,
Yeah, it's
considering
really
how
weird.
it's a
Like
really pizza. It's kind of like a pizza on Friday night aspect of metal, where it's like very fundamental, but it's only like the early bands really ever did it, and it kind of got left alone forever. I guess maybe once
yeah,
the grooves came in, you know what I mean? Once like King's X by way of Pantera, you started having more of like a back groove. It's kind of like with thrash, it's hard to get in and out of those, but I bet there's a way to cross all that over too, really.
yeah. All right. So I know you went to high school with my mom. What was the first punk, metal, or hardcore show you went to, and how old were you?
Well, my first metal show, my dad was a radio DJ at the time, a shock rock radio DJ on 103.3, which was the rock station at the time, KDF. And so I got tickets to like Ozzy and Alice in Chains, I think. Well, my first concert was like Aerosmith, but then Ozzy and Alice in Chains, I was 11 when I went to that. So that was like pretty early for, most kids. Back in my day, that was the full blown satanic panic of the 80s. So like people thought that you would like, if you went to Ozzy, you worship the devil, you listen to it, you'd become brainwashed and kill someone, or people really believe that kind of stuff. So it's kind
Yeah,
of
it's
like
crazy.
hard to be able to listen to that stuff back then. And then, uh, now I saw like, at Lucy's, I saw They Might Be Giants, I think it was. it was my first ever show. And then probably shortly thereafter, I went to shows with your mom a lot at Lucy's. Would be right around that same time. It would be like right when I got my first car when I was 16. I would probably like maybe drive us up there. Maybe Jesse Baker or something with us, and like Katie Dar. But yeah, we would go to some shows. I saw Today Is the Day at Lucy's back then. There's a lot of cool stuff you could see that was in the underground when we were in high school for sure. That was a building era for it was kind of like you had grunge came out and alternative, and that kind of really opened the punk and hardcore world to everyone. And then Kurt Cobain was murdered, died, however you want to characterize it. And then kind of after that, it was like, all the subgenres kind of like started rising to the surface for the 2000s and whatnot. That's kind of when I entered playing music myself, like right around 2000 ish,
Okay.
thereabouts.
My mom said her first show was at Lucy's, and it was Shelter and Earth Crisis at 14 years, not at, around 14 years old, but it was before she met you, apparently.
Yeah, that would have been a couple years. I didn't go to school with her until, see, she's her last name, then Duncan, mine, Donegan. We were next to each other in class. She was like one of the first friends I had at that new school. So I switched schools in the middle of my junior year. So it
Yeah,
was kind of like right in the middle of the school year.
yeah. Okay. All right, where's your favorite place you've ever played a show?
I mean, I did play CBGBs before it ended, and I played like the Whiskey a Go Go, and I played like the Knitting Factory, and I played like a lot of those kind of cool rooms that you would want to play. Probably my favorite place to play would be North Dakota, just because the people. Like I lived in LA for 3 years, and I have probably about seven friends, and I played North Dakota like 4 or 5 times, and I have about the same amount of friends from North Dakota. You know what I mean? Like North Dakota people that are just instantly a friend forever when you meet them and stuff, and they're like really, whereas other places, I don't feel like people are as um, just don't value their friendships and connections as much as they do in a place like North Dakota. But that was a place that I didn't know I would like it, but touring everywhere for a long time, I just kind of was looking forward to being in North Dakota. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Have you played Vino's in Little Rock, Arkansas?
Yes, once
Okay.
actually. That's a pretty cool venue, actually.
We're playing there on that spring break tour, so should be very fun. I
That's a nice venue that a lot of big bands have played. It's nice. Last I was there, but that was 15 years ago, so I don't know what it's like now.
Who was it that said they played there that we were
Right,
seeing?
I think.
Ray from Full Blown Chaos. This had there's been a lot of cool bands there.
Yeah, they're like that doesn't have a lot of venues, Little Rock, and that's a nice one that is kind of bigger capacity. It's not huge. It's probably like three to 500 capacity, depending on how they do capacity there. But
For us, we do like 75 capacity usually. So
hey, that's good though. 75. If you choke up, that's the thing. If you get in a room that's made for 3 to 500, and you're dealing with 75, sometimes it's good to just put all your equipment on the floor and then
yeah,
like cut down some of the rooms so that people don't have as much room to spread out, and then you can kind of get your room to feel more like a full freaking room. If you have a giant venue like that, and you know what I mean, that type of deal.
yeah. Have we done that for Okay,
I think so.
I don't know. We've played so
We
many.
had a tour with like Animosity and Ion Dissonance back in the day. It was like, although that tour would probably be a lot bigger if it was now, like it was not that well attended, but it was like we always choked up the stage by playing on the floor, to kind of. It's like that way you can get everybody bunched up and you can kind of be in everyone's face and you're on the same level as them. I don't love a stage anyway myself because I like to interact with the crowd, and the stage does make you more visible if there's a whole lot of people there. But you know what I mean? If you only got 75 to 100 people, you can really kind of turn it into like a fun, we're all in the pit kind of, including the band kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's cool. Um, so what do you do besides your band for money or for a hobby?
I have a personal training business, which actually allows me to stay younger. I'm 47, so I can keep playing music and being in shape, and being able to handle the violence of metal, hardcore, and punk scene performances by lifting weights all the time and keeping other people in shape. So that's kind of like been how I keep myself young and monetize now that I'm not touring, anymore and that kind of stuff. Just because touring forever when you're like my age, that just ship doesn't sail. At a certain point, if you want to have like kids and that kind of thing, you can't just be an unknown place one day to the next forever. You know what I mean? But it is touring has not been what it's about anymore. It's more about just writing music and performing and also running my business and whatnot. Now, if the band got real huge out of nowhere and suddenly it was paying very well to tour, obviously you can do that. That's not a problem. But there's an element of like the paying your dues type of touring where you're in a van and you're just in tour after tour after tour, which is, it can kind of never end. You know what I mean? So you have to kind of decide how much of that you need to do to prove that you paid your dues. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We've done a lot, like 12, 13 full US tours.
I don't know how I'm gonna not want to I don't know how I'll ever want to stop touring. Like it's just the most fun thing ever.
The one thing that gives it, as you get older, you start having things like, okay, my teeth are going to fall out of my head. I'm having medical issues now. I'm on the road, or there just starts to become certain complications where you have to find a way to be really rich while you're doing it at a certain point, basically, or else
Yeah.
it's going to start destroying your body. You got to make sure you got planes and buses and bumps
Yeah.
at a certain past a certain point. If you've been doing this for 15 years and you're getting into your 40s and you're still in a van, like you're probably going to have back problems and you're eventually not, you're going to be like a haggard, you're going to be trying to like, hello kids, and you're like back problems and you know what I mean? So there's an element of that. You have to kind of fight entropy as it tries to tear your body and your van to pieces as you tour.
Yeah. All right. If you could live as one animal for a day and be safe from dying, what kind of animal would you choose?
um, I'd probably run bat. That way I could get into some weird caves and like check out maybe have that night vision, maybe just see some stuff I wouldn't ordinarily be able to see. Either that or like one of those super deep sea fish, but I'm not sure what that involves.
Yeah,
Might just get eaten.
I don't think we've ever heard a bat as an
An
answer because most people say birds or like
That's cooler. You can see
Yeah.
at night and fly.
you can see at night after they're blind.
Oh, wait.
Well, but you can kind of see with whatever their sense is. They don't have vision, but it's something.
Yeah, they
It's
use
like it'd be to have a primary sense that isn't vision, but isn't concerned with light. You'd still be able to kind of, what I mean, it's kind of like seeing in the dark.
isn't it just like hearing and they like can like figure out where it is by
It's like a
hearing.
radar hearing, like a hearing that's articulate enough for you to tell the differences between the locations of things. And like our hearing could theoretically be that good. We just don't have it adapted that way because we have our vision going.
Yeah,
But
like it's like a ship radar. It's like boop boop. Like there's
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, that's what they're doing pretty much. That'd be cool to be a bat, though, I think.
yeah, it'd be cool. Okay, do you have a favorite movie?
Um, Maybe I would say I'm not a big movie guy because my attention span for that type of thing is not great, but probably I've watched Meet the Feebles more than once. I've watched Office Space more than once. And Meet the Feebles is a weird Muppet Peter Jackson thing. And what else? That's about it. Those are the two things I think I've watched more than once.
Okay, I don't think I've seen any of those.
We all put
Office Space is great.
watch it.
Everyone's got especially where they're doing "Damn It Feels Good to Be a Gangster" and they're destroying their office equipment. That's a satisfying moment. But
Um, okay, if you could tell your 14-year-old self anything at all, what would you tell him?
buy stocks. Everything I was about to do with money that wasn't that it really isn't that fun. The thing is, this stuff really compounds. Like you would really be, by my age, very rich if you put really insignificant amounts of money into the stock market here and there. It is really crazy, actually.
Wait, I think it's like it was so cheap for like a Bitcoin. Wait, So if you put $1,000, I want to see. I'm just curious. If
He
you
may
put,
just be
I was friends with the guy that started Bitcoin, the guys that started Bitcoin in the beginning, and I got offered a job where they were going to pay me a big dollar for dollar Bitcoin instead of money. $50 an article. I would have 50 Bitcoins an article for a period of time there. That I turned that down. I've turned down a lot of times Bitcoin when it was really cheap, where I would be richer than hell now. So that's what I'm saying. All those kind of things, whenever you have extra money, collect financial assets. Just do it. They will compound. You'll be so weirdly rich. You won't have to think about money anymore. If you're banned, you could fly a helicopter everywhere instead of a van. You know what I mean? Like,
Iron
not that I
Maiden,
recommend doing that, but it's so much crazy how much money you make if you compound your money by putting it in stuff. So it's like if you spending $5 a week, if you put that on Robinhood, dude, for now, starting at your age, by the time you're my age, money will be a theoretic thing you hear about on TV. It won't be a part of your life. It'll be, you know what I mean? It'll be a theoretical.
It's an app for
oh,
trading and stuff.
oh,
Yeah,
it's
Robinhood is an app where you can invest money, small amounts, no fees. So you can just put in like $5 here, $5 there, and just do it starting, at your age. Man, that stuff will compound. But at your age, you'd be rich by like 25, first of all. But by 40, you would be very weird rich. But yeah.
yeah,
That's what I would go back and focus on. I'm focusing on it now. If I'd been focusing on it then, I wouldn't be worried about it right now. It'd
yeah.
be a
World of
thing.
Chaos. If we did that, World of Chaos would be friggin' in like the Iron Maiden. You know the Iron Maiden private jet they got with the Eddie. Is that his name? The skeleton dude.
You might be able to build a whole Eddie and just have him walk like a mech warrior to like every venue.
Yeah. We could get like a World of Chaos mascot. Have him as like a he can be like a giant robot, and we can like all
Just
like
ride it in like Voltron. Boom.
it'd be crazy.
You can break apart into little running some kind of robots. Boom. And then combine. Boom.
Stuff, and he can transform into like a quadruple decker tour bus.
Yeah, yeah. That's the way to do it right there. That's what I'm talking about.
Dude, this is ridiculous. Okay. Do you have anything else to add before we wrap it up?
I'd say that's about it. We got a new record we're working on, about to put out, called Post Everything. I'm trying to kill genres. You know what I mean? I come at punk and hardcore from a ideological standpoint, but not a sound standpoint. I feel like the sound is up for debate, and I'm always pushing it somewhere that most people don't want it to go. But that's kind of the part of the game, is it's a big debate between everybody as to what it's supposed to be. So Post Everything is my newest entry into that. It's coming out next year, this year sometime, maybe next year sometime. We're almost done is the main thing. Coming out soon though.
Yep. All right. Well, thanks to Barry for joining me today, and thanks to all you for watching and listening. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow me on Spotify and other streaming platforms. Until next week, bye.
Peace out.